When you reach your 80s, something curious happens. The world, which once moved with you, now moves a bit faster than you'd like. People speak quicker, decisions seem more rushed, and even technology grows old faster than you do. But inside, you still feel the same. Perhaps slower in step, but steady in spirit. Growing older doesn't mean growing less. It means seeing life more clearly, with all its truths, the gentle ones, and the harder ones. And that's what we're going to talk about today, the hard truths that come after 80. Not to discourage you, not to frighten you, but to prepare you, strengthen you, and perhaps help you feel a little less alone in this chapter of life. If you're over 60, or you care deeply for someone who is, I invite you to stay with me for the next few minutes. We're going to walk through 5 realities, quiet ones, sometimes overlooked, but deeply important. And before we begin, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If this channel has ever brought you comfort, wisdom, or even just a sense of being seen, please consider subscribing. It helps us reach more seniors who need this kind of gentle company, and it means the world to us. Now, you and I both know, life doesn't always unfold the way we expected. And after 80, even the simplest things, a morning cup of coffee, the silence of an afternoon, the sight of your hands, can hold entire lifetimes of memory. But along with beauty, there are truths that come knocking. And sometimes, they're not so easy to welcome. Let me tell you why I believe it matters to talk about them. Because silence, while golden, can also be heavy. And the more we hide from the realities of aging, the lonelier they become. So today, we won't hide. We'll sit with them, one by one. We'll begin with a truth that many elders quietly carry but few speak of aloud. The way relationships begin to shift after 80. Not always in ways we expect. Stay with me. And if you've ever nodded quietly to yourself while watching these kinds of videos, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Your story may just be the comfort someone else has been waiting for. Let's begin. One of the hardest truths that begins to settle in after 80 is how relationships change, not with a bang, but with a quiet slipping away. Friends you've known for decades may no longer call. Some have passed on. Others have grown distant, not out of unkindness, but because life, especially in these later chapters, tends to scatter people in different directions. Even family, your own children, grandchildren, sometimes their lives feel like they're running on a faster track. They love you, yes, but you may see them less often. Their visits are shorter, their words more distracted, not because they've forgotten you, but because the world, for them, still moves fast. You might find yourself wondering, did I become invisible? No, my dear friend, you are not invisible. But the truth is, society does not always know how to hold space for elders. It celebrates youth, speed, efficiency. It forgets that wisdom, depth, and presence do not live in haste. And that forgetting, that's not your fault. So what do we do when relationships fade? We grieve, and then we look again. Look gently, because not all connection disappears. Sometimes it simply changes form. You may not host family dinners anymore, but perhaps you share stories over the phone with a neighbor who checks in every week. You may no longer visit friends, but their letters still come, their photos still smile from your shelves. And sometimes, in the absence of the familiar, you discover something new. A fellow resident in your building who enjoys the same music. A nurse who speaks softly and listens well. A dog who follows you each morning on your walk. These are not replacements, but they are reminders that connection still lives, even if it no longer looks the same. Please don't let silence convince you that you're forgotten. You are not. If this feels familiar to you, if you've watched your circle grow smaller, leave a comment below. Others here may feel the same. And sometimes, simply knowing we are not alone in our loneliness is a kind of comfort. And if you haven't already, please take a moment to subscribe. We create these gentle conversations with you in mind, because you matter, because your experiences deserve to be honored, and because even in the quiet, you are heard here. In our next moment together, we'll talk about something else that catches many by surprise after 80, the shifting relationship with independence. Stay with me. There comes a time, sometime after 80, when you realize that independence, as you once knew it, has quietly transformed. Tasks that were once second nature now ask for more of you. Buttoning a shirt, reaching for the top shelf, tying your shoes. These small actions begin to demand new patience, new balance, new breath. You still wake up with your own thoughts. You still make your own choices. But the body? The body has started to whisper limits. And that shift, it's not just physical, it's emotional. Because what no one tells you is how deeply tied our sense of self is to the ability to do things on our own. We take pride in it. We've built entire lives around it. And when it begins to slip, when you have to ask for help, it can feel like a kind of loss. But here's what I want you to hear clearly. Needing help does not make you weak. It makes you human. Asking for assistance is not surrendering independence. It's adapting it. You are not less of yourself because you use a walker. You are not a burden because someone helps you with groceries or drives you to appointments. And you are certainly not failing because you can no longer do every single thing alone. Let me tell you something I've learned from so many conversations with other elders. Those who accept help with grace often live with more ease than those who resist it with pride. Because the real strength isn't in doing everything yourself. It's in knowing when to hold on and when to let someone hold you. And when you allow others in, even just a little, you'll often find they want to be there. That helping you brings them joy. That what you thought was weakness becomes a shared moment of trust and tenderness. Have you had a moment recently where you struggled with something simple, like opening a jar or remembering how to set the microwave? If so, you're not alone. I've been there too. And maybe you'd be willing to share your story in the comments below. Your voice may help someone else feel just a little more seen. If you're finding this video helpful so far, and you haven't yet subscribed, please take a moment now. These conversations are created for you, with love, care, and deep respect for all that you've lived through. And subscribing helps us continue bringing them into your home, week after week. Next, we'll speak about a truth that quietly lingers in the background for many seniors. The changing relationship with time, and the way the days can begin to feel both full and strangely empty. Let's sit with that together in a moment. Time is a curious thing after 80. It stretches and shrinks in ways that surprise even the most seasoned among us. You might wake up early, long before the world around you stirs, and find that the day ahead is wide open. No appointments, no obligations, just hours and hours of space. And yet, by evening, you might look back and wonder where the time went. Some days feel endless, quiet, still, a bit too quiet perhaps. Other days pass in a blink, as if the morning tea slipped into dusk without your notice. That's the paradox of time at this age. It is both generous and lonely, both a gift and a challenge. After a life of schedules, responsibilities, family meals, work routines, and social calendars, the sudden abundance of free time can feel strange, even unsettling. You may find yourself filling it with small rituals, watering a plant, watching the same old film, folding clothes you'll never wear out. And though these moments may seem ordinary, they are your rhythm now, and that rhythm matters. But still, the silence can be heavy. The long afternoons can echo, and sometimes the question floats in, what is all this time for, now that I no longer have to rush? That question is both tender and true. And the answer? It's different for each of us. Some people rediscover old hobbies, painting, journaling, listening to music from their youth. Others begin to write letters they've long meant to write. Some spend more time in prayer, in memory, in conversation with the self. And some simply sit by the window and watch the light move across the floor. That, too, is a kind of living. But I'll say this gently. It helps to have purpose, however small. Maybe it's calling someone once a week. Maybe it's tending to a plant or telling your story to a grandchild. Purpose doesn't need to be big to be beautiful. And if you're struggling with how to spend your days, if the empty hours sometimes feel like a weight, I want to hear from you. Truly, leave a comment. Because chances are, someone else watching this feels just the same. You're not the only one. And while you're here, if you haven't already, I'd be so grateful if you'd subscribe. not just for the content, but to remind you, each week, that someone is thinking of you, that someone is still speaking directly to your heart. In the next part of our conversation, we'll look at something no one likes to name, but most of us eventually face: the reality of declining health. Not just the body, but the quiet shifts in mind, memory, and energy. Stay with me, won't you? There's an honesty that comes with age, especially after 80. The kind of honesty that doesn't sugarcoat. And one of the most difficult truths to sit with is this: our health changes, and with it, so does our sense of self. It doesn't always happen all at once. Sometimes it's the slow stiffening of joints, the shuffle in your step, the pill bottles multiplying on your kitchen shelf. Other times, it's more subtle: forgetting the name of an old friend, losing track of a conversation halfway through, or waking up more tired than when you went to bed. And when these things happen, it's not just the body that feels different, it's your identity. Who you believed yourself to be starts to shift. You were the strong one, the caregiver, the one people leaned on, the one who remembered every birthday, who fixed things around the house, who kept the family stories alive. And now, you might be the one sitting a little longer, asking someone to repeat themselves, or feeling unsure on your own stairs. It hurts, not just physically, but deep down, where pride and memory live. I want to say something to you now, clearly and gently. You are still you. Even if your legs tremble, even if your hands are slower, even if you can't remember what day it is sometimes, you are still the person who built a life, who loved deeply, who endured, who gave. Aging may chip away at the outer strength, but inside, your spirit still stands tall. You may feel grief as your body changes. That's natural. You may feel frustration when others rush you, or speak loudly as if you've disappeared. That frustration is valid, but don't let it turn into silence. Speak your truth. Ask for patience. Ask for time. You've earned it. There is wisdom in listening to your body, in resting when you're tired, in saying no to what no longer serves you, and in finding new ways to feel alive, even with limits. Maybe that means shorter walks, but more time noticing the trees. Maybe it's listening to audiobooks when your eyes grow weary, or sitting beside someone while they talk, even if your own words come slower now. And please, don't let shame find its way into your heart. The world may not always honor aging, but here we do. Tell me, what part of your health has surprised you most lately? What has been the hardest to adjust to? Your answer may open a door for someone else who hasn't had the courage to name it yet. I read every comment, and many others here do, too. If this message resonates with you, I hope you'll subscribe if you haven't yet. It's a small act that helps us bring these quiet truths to more people, those who may be sitting in silence, thinking they're the only ones. Next, we'll explore the last of these 5 truths. It's a tender one that speaks of loss, but also, strangely, of love. Because after 80, we begin to face the reality of saying goodbye more often, to friends, to routines, and sometimes to parts of ourselves. Let's breathe through it together. In a moment, there's a kind of farewell that only the old truly understand. The slow, quiet kind that doesn't always come with fanfare. Just an empty chair, a phone that doesn't ring anymore, a holiday that feels a little too still. After 80, goodbyes come more often, sometimes to people, old friends, neighbors, even partners you've shared decades with. Other times, to things less visible, the garden you used to tend, the Sunday drives, the favorite cafe that's no longer open. Even your handwriting changes, and it can feel like a part of you is fading with it. Loss becomes familiar, though never easier. You learn to smile through it, to nod gently when someone younger says they lived a good life, as if that makes the missing easier. But you know better. You know the way grief settles in your chest, not as a wave that crashes, but as a tide that never fully goes out. It softens, yes, but it stays. What they don't tell you is that grieving in old age is different. You've lost many, but you're also aware that people have lost you too, in small ways. Maybe you don't show up to the gatherings anymore. Maybe your voice isn't heard as often in family decisions. There's a kind of mourning that comes not just from others dying, but from parts of your life quietly slipping away. But here's the quiet miracle. Even in the midst of so much letting go, love does not disappear. You still love deeply. You still remember. You still feel that tug when a song plays, or when you find a photo in a drawer you haven't opened in years. That love, that's your proof of life. That's your anchor. It doesn't vanish. It simply changes shape. And in some ways, those we lose never fully leave us. They sit with us in the stories we tell, in the recipes we still cook, in the way we laugh, or fold a towel, or hum a tune. You may feel like you're the last one standing sometimes, but you are not standing alone. This community is here for you. If you've lost someone recently, or even long ago, and you're carrying that ache quietly, feel free to share a memory in the comments. A name, a thought, a moment. Let it be seen. Let it be held. And if this video has offered you even a little companionship in the quiet, please subscribe. It helps us continue to speak gently into a world that sometimes forgets to slow down and listen. Now, let's take one final breath together, because next, we'll bring all these truths home, with a conclusion not of sorrow, but of strength. The kind of strength only someone who has lived through it all can truly understand. If you've stayed with me this far, I want to thank you, not just for watching, but for being here, for sitting with these truths, for honoring your own experience, even when it's heavy. We've spoken quietly today about the parts of aging that aren't often named, how relationships shift, how independence transforms, how time expands and contracts, how health redefines us, and how goodbyes become part of the landscape. And maybe, at some point in this video, you saw yourself in the words. Maybe you nodded quietly, or wiped away a tear. Maybe your heart whispered, "Finally, someone understands." Let me tell you something you may not hear often enough. You are not less because you are older. You are more. More seasoned, more layered, more whole. You carry a lifetime inside you, of laughter, of sorrow, of work, of worry, of love. That kind of richness doesn't fade. It deepens. The world may overlook you, but I see you. I see the way you still rise each morning, even when your bones ache. I see the way you still try, still care, still love. I see the courage it takes to live with the questions that come with age, and the quiet strength in letting go of what once was. Aging isn't the end of the story. It's a new chapter, one written in slower ink, but no less vivid. One where wisdom takes center stage, where presence matters more than performance, where you don't have to prove yourself anymore. So take heart, take rest, and take pride. You've made it to this moment, not by chance, but by grace, by endurance, by spirit. And if today's video offered you a sense of peace, or a reminder that you're not walking this road alone, I hope you'll do one more thing before you go. Subscribe. Join our quiet circle of elders and loved ones. Leave a comment if something here spoke to you. Share it with someone who might need the gentle truth of companionship. You are not invisible here. You are part of a community that listens, that understands, and that honors the path you've walked. Thank you for being here. I'll see you again soon, with more gentle truths, more soft reflections, and more reminders that this stage of life, too, is full of meaning. Until then, be kind to yourself. And remember, you are still becoming, even now, especially now.